Let's talk about something most men never fully understand. It is not about doing more. It is about how you control the pace, the energy, and the experience. When you learn how to guide the moment instead of rushing through it, everything changes. The connection becomes stronger, the experience becomes deeper, and the impact becomes something that stays in her mind long after. Most people move in one rhythm. They stay consistent. They repeat the same pace again and again. But the human mind does not respond strongly to predictability. It responds to change, to variation, to moments that feel unexpected and exciting. The first powerful idea is changing pace. You start slow. You build gradually. You allow the moment to develop naturally. Everything feels calm. Everything feels steady. And then suddenly, you shift the energy. You increase intensity for a brief moment. Not too long, just enough to create contrast. That contrast creates excitement. It wakes up the senses. It changes the entire experience instantly, and then you slow down again. This back and forth creates a rhythm that feels alive, not mechanical, not predictable, but engaging and dynamic. This is what keeps the experience interesting, because the mind is always adjusting, always reacting, always staying involved in the moment. The second powerful idea is changing positions or perspectives. Staying in one place for too long reduces excitement, but when you introduce change, something shifts. The experience feels new again, fresh again, different in a way that captures attention. This does not need to be complicated. Even small adjustments can create a big impact because change itself creates engagement. It resets the energy, it keeps things moving, it prevents the moment from becoming repetitive, and that alone makes a huge difference. The third powerful idea is controlled pauses. Most people think stopping breaks the moment, but in reality, it can strengthen it. When you pause at the right time, anticipation builds. The mind begins to expect what comes next, and that expectation creates intensity. When you combine pauses with variation, the experience becomes layered. It becomes more than just movement. It becomes emotion. It becomes anticipation. It becomes something that feels deeper and more meaningful. Now, when you bring these three ideas together, something changes. The experience becomes guided, intentional, controlled in a way that feels natural instead of forced. And that control creates confidence. Not loud confidence, but calm, steady confidence. The kind that shows in how you move and respond. Another important factor is awareness. You need to pay attention to small reactions, small changes in energy, small signals that show how the moment is unfolding. These signals guide your next move, and when you follow them, everything feels smoother, more natural, more connected. Patience also plays a big role. Most people rush. They try to reach the end quickly, but rushing removes depth. It removes connection. When you slow down, something changes. The experience becomes richer, more engaging, more memorable. Balance is also important. You do not want to stay in one rhythm too long, but you also do not want to change randomly. Balance means knowing when to shift and when to stay. This comes from awareness, from presence, from understanding the moment as it happens. Another mistake people make is overthinking. They try to follow a perfect method, a perfect sequence. But connection does not work like that. It flows, it adapts, it changes depending on the moment. When you let go of rigid patterns, you become more natural, more relaxed, more confident. Emotional presence ties everything together. It is not just about what you do, it is about how you feel while doing it. If you are distracted, it shows. If you are unsure, it shows. But when you are fully present, that energy is felt immediately, and that creates depth. Now, when all these elements come together, something shifts. The experience becomes more than just actions. It becomes connection. It becomes something real, something memorable. Most people never reach this level. They stay focused on surface actions. They repeat what they have seen or heard, and they wonder why things feel incomplete. But once you understand this, everything changes. You stop repeating. You start responding. You stop forcing. You start flowing. And that is where real connection begins. Because connection is not about doing more. It is about doing things with awareness, with timing, with presence. And when you do that, everything changes.